This theory also said that in the tropics, not only could humans not develop as a biological species, but humans could not develop their highest civilization.
As a counterfeit paradise, it was thought that the Amazon never had, never could, and never would sustain big or complex human populations. This theory added scientific credibility to the notion of pristine forest, at a time when opposition to the deforestation was mounting. The destruction of the Amazon became a focus of concern for many different groups and interests. Some NGOs collaborated with indigenous tribes and other poor forest communities, trying to protect these people and their lands from developers. Other NGOs took a more conventional approach to nature conservation, including some international wildlife conservationists.
Many people characterize development in the Amazon as fundamentally bad. Human impacts of any kind. The people who were doing biodiversity conservation were like, if it flies or walks on four legs, that's important. People are bad.
In the 70s, the Brazilian government began protecting some of the forest through the creation of national parks. They initially followed the American conservation model.
The old traditional approach to conservation, to national parks for example, has been to put up a fence around a particular plot of forest and to keep people out, and under the assumption that any kind of human land use is detrimental.
As a result, it became illegal for people, both indigenous and mixed-race forest communities, to live in the new parks.
Environmentalism can be a new form of imperialism. We see that kind of imperialism working at different levels, in an international level, but also in a local level here in Brazil. It amazes me today that conservation officials, they think that it's necessary to exclude traditional inhabitants, indigenous people or peasants, caboclos, mestizos, from conservation units. A lot of people, traditional inhabitants, peasants, mixed blood people, have been living in those conservation units for decades or even centuries, and they've been kicked out now because these places are going to become national parks.
Against a backdrop of environmental concern, the destruction of the forest continued apace. Then, in a curious twist, the deforestation brought to light evidence that would challenge the beliefs of environmentalists, archaeologists, and even the developers. In 1986, the Brazilian geographer Alceu Hanzi was on a flight to Acre in the southwest Amazon when he spotted something unusual.
And he was sitting at the window seat and he saw this huge structure, very large. And then he realized there was not, a single site, that probably there were more. And so he rented an airplane and started flying around. And then he found more and more and more. And then he, as a geographer, he knew that was something very special. That was not natural, that probably was very ancient.
Where trees had been felled, strange shapes emerged from what was thought to be virgin forest. These huge earth structures are known as geoglyphs.
So the geoglyphs are trenches that were excavated in the form of geometric figures. So mostly we find circles, rectangles, and composite figures. And these trenches were cut very deep. They are today about 1 or 2 meters. But when we excavate them, we found the ancient depth. It was 3, 4, or 5 meters. So that's a lot. And also their width, it's about 11, 12 meters.
As the deforestation continued, the discoveries kept coming, and by 1999, Alceo Hansi had found 30 geoglyphs. But this was just the tip of the iceberg.
One day they were just, looking at Google Earth, and somebody saw a geoglyph in the Google Earth. It was very special for us because, like in 2 weeks, we have found 100, and that never stopped growing the number of sites we can identify.
They may measure almost the size of 2 football fields, and they show an incredible geometric precision. Often the squares and rectangles of geoglyphs have an orientation almost perfectly north-south. And this is an uncanny precision because there doesn't seem to be a functional reason for it.
There's no way you are going to do and go through all the effort of doing something very geometrical if you don't have a reason for that. I tend to believe that there was a religious reason of some kind. Something that we will probably never know, but still.
What we do know is the extraordinary age of the geoglyphs. The earliest are 2,000 years old, and the latest from about 750 years ago. This means that for more than a millennium, people were dramatically shaping an area previously thought to be virgin rainforest. Today,
we can find so many sites in Acre, so many geoglyphs, because there is no vegetation. And that's something that makes us wonder what is under the vegetation that's still up in many other places in the Amazon.
Some estimate that what we can see represents only 10% of the total. If proved right, this apparently uninhabited region could have sustained some 600,000 people. However, the identity of these people remains a mystery. Besides the geoglyphs, they left practically no traces of themselves.
We know that for sure that lots of people were necessary to build the geoglyphs, but where they left their remains? Where are the burials? Where are the houses? Where are the ceramics? We just don't find them.
But thousands of miles away on the island of Marechaux, in the mouth of the Amazon River, another lost civilization left a clearer record of their lives.